mystery and horror. The air itself is filled with monsters.
Children of the night, what music they make. He's alive! He's alive!
Well, hello, all you monster fiends, and thank you for joining us for another deep dive factoid filled episode exploring Hollywood's most famous monsters. I am your master of ceremony, Sam, and I am joined as always by Dan from Bleeding Marvelous. Say hello, Dan.
Hello, Dan.
Yeah, it's gonna be one of those days.
It is so bad.
Gonna be one of those episodes. And speaking of one of those episodes, we are going to take on a fairly new monster, a fairly sinister monster, one that people are not. I did it. One that people may not be too familiar with, but we are going to familiarize you with. No, I'm going to say it right. Baghuul.
There we go.
Yes.
Bless you.
Oh, thank you. So I'll get the disclaimer out the way with, and then we will crack on with this week's episode. Because believe it or not, kids, I've got some facts. I know, shock horror. I actually did my homework in my new horror notebook.
That's what it is. It's the magic of the notebook.
It's the magic of the notebook. It got me doing my homework, even though I've wrote episode 13, but. Couldn't even finish the actual name of.
Yeah,
but
Mr. Blit.
Yeah. Everything discussed in today's episode is our opinions and our opinions alone. If you'd like to discuss anything from today's episode, please come and join us in the comment section where we can have an open discussion. Or what we won't have is anyone coming for us and telling us our opinions are wrong. We can all agree to disagree in fandom. So let's keep it fun, keep it kind, and keep the toxic behaviour out of nerdism. I feel that's going to be a theme running tonight, that I'm going to get one word out of a sentence wrong.
Hey, we'll make up our own words.
Absolutely. So, Baghuul, also known as Mr. Boogie. Mm-hmm. I liked Boogie better. I thought that was cool. However, apparently, he has a surname. Baghuul Johnson.
I was just about to say that, and I was going to take the piss royally then. That was weird. Ugh.
Yes. The pagan deity that serves as the main antagonist in the 2012 and 2015 movies Sinister. You can't stop evil. You can only protect yourself from it, as we give you Baghuul. Da, da, da.
Johnson. It's less threatening, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Google it. It's genuine, guys. Baghuul, in brackets, Johnson.
Oh, I dread to think, like, with family trees, he come down from the Smiths and the Bakers and the... Oh, dig Johnson.
Johnson. Yeah, so...
Derrickson's got some questions I need to ask him.
Massively. So, does Baghuul Johnson make a good monster?
I've been dreading this question. Okay, I need to separate this into two things to answer this question. So, in the movie,
yeah,
no. In lore, yes.
Right.
Because the principle of Baghuul and what he does is horrifying.
Yeah.
And his backstory that they made up with his brother, that whole side of it.
That is the one bit I have on my phone because I could not be asked to write it out.
There's a lot.
Was the Moloch?
Yeah.
The Moloch part of it, where he's Moloch's. Well, he's the brother of Moloch, and they share a backstory. He mimics Moloch's worship and child sacrifice rituals, but the mouth being gone is all through his brother's thingies. Do you know, for a character for a character that I actually find very interesting in the movie, there's not a lot about him apart from what you get from Vincent D'Onofrio is
Thor.
ancient
Thor.
Babylonian.
The original Thor. And I will not have it said otherwise.
Oh, I've just getting your reference.
Babysit.
The Adventures in Babysitting. Ancient Babylonian pagan deity.
Correct.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah. From what I can gather, the backstory is supposed to be that Moloch was worshipped by a lot of the people. I don't know which kind, pagans, Aztecs, whatever they were.
There's a lot of Christianity, a lot of folklore. There's so much wrapped up in it.
But the gist of it was he was the god of fertility. So that meant not just about having children, but he was also the bringer of food. You know, he was the crops dude you went to and said, "Hello, mister, we want some crops." And he goes, "All right, give us your kids." And they went, "Yeah, okay, here's our kids. Yeah, here's our kids so we can all have some food." And he goes, "Thank you very much. Nom, nom, nom." Done, right? That was Moloch's. That was his I'm
not going to lie. I'd hand my kid over for some food.
Oh, I don't know what
and
food
this
I'd
is
choose,
why I'm not a mother.
Just like chicken. Or long pig, isn't it? That's what they call
long
it.
Pig. Yeah.
But yeah, so from what I could gather, Baghuul liked his brother's ideas and his thought processes, so he tried to mimic him. But in doing so, at that time, he did have a mouth and he did have eyes. But Moloch decided to punish him because he was taking away his sustenance, his food, by doing it. So he sewed his mouth shut and he took his eyes.
Good call.
So then he had to adapt any way he knew how, and that's how he is the monster that you see now, because his brother didn't want him to follow the same path as he had, because he was literally stealing his food. So from what I can gather.
I'm not going to lie. People know me when I'm hungry and how awful I am. So I can see where he's coming from. Like, I can get on board with that. Because I'd hurt someone if they got in the way between me and food.
The only time I'd hurt someone is if I'm eating and someone takes something off my plate whilst I'm eating. I will stab you with my fork.
Remind me not to pinch Dan's food. Actually, I would never dream of doing that.
Touch when people come up and they go, "Oh," and they take a crisp off your plate, and you're like,
No, don't touch food. No, let's not start World War III over you touching my food in any shape or form, because it would actually happen. So yeah, manipulates children to kill their family. That is his goal. That is fucking genius on my part. Oh, well, not on my part, but on his part. Only because it's so fucking lazy. I love it.
Yeah, no, massively lazy. And that's why I feel like it works better in the lore than it did in the movie. I take that back. It works better in the lore and the first movie than it did in 2. 2 was absolutely, we'll get to it, but like, the use of him in that was not, it didn't have the same
je ne sais quoi.
Yeah, I mean, Scott Derrickson had written both. He wrote and directed the first one, co-wrote and co-directed the first one, and then he just wrote the second one because he went on to do Doctor Strange. He was also responsible for The Exorcism of Emily Rose, which is a film I absolutely love, with
I adore that film.
Dexter's sister wife in it.
Deborah fucking Morgan.
Yeah. And then he also did Deliver Us from Evil with Eric Banner in it.
I've not seen it.
Basement.
Yeah, I've not seen it, but I've heard good things of it.
It's a movie. It doesn't take long. It's not really a brain engager. It's just a traditional little horror movie. If you're looking for something to tickle your pickle for an hour and a half, crack on.
Get a bit of Eric Banner.
Yeah.
Well, the idea came to the writer, who was C. Robert Cargill,
Yes.
after he had a nightmare after watching The Ring.
Yeah. I did see that, and I saw an interview with him, and he basically said it was something to do with how threatening she was, even though she didn't do much. And he equated her to being very similar to the two other inspirations that he had for Baghuul, which was Slender Man and Michael Myers, because he said the shape was very stoic. He doesn't move much. If you ever see him, he's not running, he's not exerting himself. It's basically
he's mysterious
things. But people come to him. He doesn't really necessarily have to chase them. You know what I mean? It's like,
again, laziness. But the inspiration for the actual look. Now, I researched my arse off to try and find out makeup artists, design art. Like, there's not a great deal out there. There's names, but there's nothing really attached to them. All I could find was the look was inspired, and I totally get this, and everyone's going to agree and scream, we fucking know this already. But the inspired by 90s black metal face paint, which you can totally fucking see just by the shadows, but heavily inspired by Mick Thompson from Slipknot, which again, it's fucking obvious because it's the whole look is him. But I'm not mad at that. I actually really fucking like that.
I think for me, when you actually break that wall and you Google what Nicholas King looks like in real life, the guy who played him, he's a skater dude. He's got long, like blondie, sandy coloured hair, back cap, pulled up socks, knee jeans. You know,
the early 2000s, wrapped into a person.
Like, face fluff. We're talking Fred Durst / with long hair. You know, kind of. We're in that. That is Baghuul. So when I saw him, I was like,
"You're not scary."
Wow, you can't. They've done a good job with how they reproportioned him, shall we say? Because the facial features with the cheekbones being so prominent and the chin being incredibly pointy, and like you say, the way they did the Mick Thompson makeup.
Well, you can also see the black metal in there as well, like just the shaping of the, like, round the cheekbones and everything. You can see where it's been inspired from.
Yeah, I mean, if you watch, there is a movie, for people who aren't familiar with Norwegian black metal, there is a movie called Lords of Chaos, which is the true story of, I'm not going to say their names, but it's got Kieran, I think it's Kieran or Rory Culkin, one of those two in it, who plays the lead guy. Now, Rory and Kieran to me are the same person. I'm 99% them two are the same person. But yeah.
They're not, but okay.
I am convinced they are. You've got creepy Culkin and then you've got the other Culkin.
It doesn't help because they're both fucking creepy. All three of them are.
I don't find Macaulay as creepy, but Kieran and Rory, as they've got older, I think it might be Kieran. He's the one that has the long hair all the time, the one that was in Scream 4.
It's Rory.
Okay, that's creepy Culkin then.
Yeah, that's Rory.
Right. Rory's creepy Culkin.
Kieran is the kid in Home Alone, Scott Pilgrim versus the World. He has like such a distinct look, like, away from his brothers.
Is Kieran the one that's in Succession?
Yes, and Rory's the one who has more of a look to Macaulay than to Kieran.
Right, okay. But yeah. That one one of them is in Lords of Chaos.
Is Lords of Chaos about the churches?
Yes, it's about the burning down of the Norwegian churches and the murders that took place within that black metal band. So it is a really good film.
I have not watched the film, but I've done so many fucking deep dives with this story. Best one I can tell you is to go, if you are interested in it, best one is Last Podcast on the Left did a phenomenal take on the whole thing. It is interesting if that, like, you're into kind of music and true crime, it kind of like mixes the two together.
But that face paint is right up the alley if you want to get a quick induction for about an hour and a half of Norwegian black metal / makeup / all that other gumph, true crime, whatever. Lords of Chaos. I'm sure you can stream it somewhere, but it is a bloody good film. Obviously, it's in English. It's not in Norwegian.
Good.
Yeah, it's good.
Cheeky bonuses. So the look. So we know what the iconic. I think Baghuul is an iconic looking character, and I am shocked to shit that there is not merch out for him, masks out for him, because to me he looks like the epitome of a really good fucking horror character.
Well, as you can see, I normally would have something behind me that relates to the pod. Nothing.
Not a thing.
Not a thing.
And it's a shame. It really is a shame. But that look was gonna look like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
I did see that.
Yeah, it was gonna look the original. This is not Scott Derrickson. This is the other writer. This is Robert C. Cargill. He had this whole image in his head of a fucked up looking Johnny Depp, like Willy Wonka style. That's where, and he said it came comical when they were looking at it and needed to like rein it into what they were actually trying to achieve.
Yeah.
Because it was nowhere near.
I will say though, they got it really, they were very clever with it in the first one. But there is that bit in the second one, which you'll know this because you've watched it 5 times. But there's this bit at the beginning where he's in the closet in number 2.
Yeah.
And you see Baghuul just come from the blackness out of nowhere. And do you know what that reminded me of? Bohemian Rhapsody, beginning of the video. And I couldn't get past it after I saw that. I kept thinking, is he going to burst out into, is this the real life? Is this just fantasy? And I was expecting his head to sort of go round like, like that. I couldn't get past it then. That was it. I was done for the rest of the film. I was like, this is not gonna.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I need to stop laughing. Stop. I can't.
But yeah, if you see that again, he just fades from nowhere. It comes out of nowhere, shall I say?
But he has a tendency for doing that in the second one, not so much in the first one. It's very clever how they introduce him in the first one, because the first one, to me and to my husband, my husband loves this movie. The first one, that is. He thinks it's a thought-provoking, not your typical atypical horror character, but has that iconic, like, kind of feel like look to him. This is probably one of the most interesting facts I have ever read about any movie that we've done so far. So you may have already read it, because there's not a great deal of facts if you go and do your research on the Sinister movies, Baghuul. In 2020, Forbes magazine conducted a study of Science of the Scare Project. So what they did is they hooked a lot of people up to heart monitors, and they made them watch 35 movies in total. This would determine through their heart rate which was the scariest movie. And what came out on top? Sinister. Sinister is classed as the most scariest movie ever made. People's heart rate ranging from 86 and spiking to 131.
It's crazy, but I know why. Because if you look at your basic horror movie setup, you've got your bad guy. You've got your clueless person that's just discovering it's all happening. But most of all, you've got the music. Now, the one thing I will say about Sinister is that I love the fact it doesn't use singers, it doesn't use popular music. There is no pleasant little ditties.
Nope, nothing.
You've got the band, I think they're called Boards of Canada, did the main song at the end called Gyroscope. And that song is like, it's being rewound. It's like, it's got this kind of, it's almost like a tribal sound to it, on top of being like a synth sound and being rewound. And there's something about it that's really unsettling. It like hits nerves.
Yeah, the scene where Ethan Hawke first picks up the Super 8 films and he takes them, he's in his office and the music's playing, then that synthy music, that it's really difficult for me to describe what type of music it is because it's some of the most uncomfortable fucking shit I have ever heard. And I'd already read this fact before I watched it for like the millionth time. And I was checking my heart. I have a heart rate monitor on my watch and I was checking it. And before the film started, I was sitting at about 79, 80, and when that music came on, it was 98. I felt, I could feel that sickening. It makes us feel sick because it's making us feel uncomfortable.
That's the thing. When I show me age, when I was younger and I was at college,
back in my day,
I did A-level music, and the one thing that they taught us was, do you have your minor and your major scale chords? Now, if you write every pop song that you probably listen to right now that's happy and lovely is written in a major key. So it's all very like la 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 la, everything pleasant. I like the sound of this. Minor chords, however, are more associated with sad, unsettling, uncomfortable music. And I think that's what they definitely latched onto that within the movie, because when it worked in one, but what they did with the stupid fucking record player on two, it didn't work. I know what they were trying to do, but you didn't need the visual of the record player. You could have just done what happened with Ethan Hawke. But
yeah,
the first one, for me, it wasn't because it was being regurgitated in the second. It was the approach they took in the second that didn't work for me. But for the first one, you're watching a guy who's drowning in true crime. His life has been about writing about crimes and getting his family alienated and ostracized from communities because he's written the truth about things. And he obviously wrote that #1 selling book, that Kentucky Blood or whatever it was called.
Kentucky Killings or something?
It was something like that. And
I'd read it.
So would I. They knew he was, who he was when he turned up. And I can't get over how dumb his wife is, but so we moved to 2 houses down from a murder scene. Have you met your husband? Do you know what he does for him? Did you not think to Google that?
Yes. Do you not have the internet? Or the inkling to go on the internet? And it's the fucking tree as well. That are not like, you can take one look at that tree and go, something happened there.
Because they left it.
Something went on there. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and I like the fact he finds the Super 8 camera, he sits and sets it up out of curiosity. Probably I would never touch anything like that in my life. If I saw it in the loft, I'd be like, nope, burn it.
Do you know what got me more than anything? He knew how to set that up really quickly. I'd be sat there for fucking hours. Like hours, probably days. And he managed to like zip it up. Like I'm like, no, like that doesn't work in real life.
No. It most certainly doesn't. But you heard I think it was the intro actually that set the tone for the entire film, where
100%.
I hadn't seen anything open with something so in your face,
graphic in your face.
Yeah, 4 people being hung from a tree on a Super 8, because the first movie used Super 8mm, but the second film used 16mm. That's why it didn't look the same. It had like a different quality, different texture to the film, but the Super 8 worked in the respect of how it didn't matter what year that they were in those videos, they all looked the same. You only knew about the era because of the way they were dressed, the fashion at the time.
Their clothes. So I have the list of the Super 8 movies, the snuff movies. So I've
called them all my own names.
Okay. So I've got Pool Party, 1966.
Yeah.
Barbecue, 1979.
Yeah.
This one, I couldn't figure out which one this was. Work, 1986.
Is that the lawn one? Lawn Work? maybe.
Yeah, it must be, because the next one is Sleepy Time, which
Yeah.
was in 1998. And then you've got Family Hanging Out. Clever. 2011. And then House Painting in 2012, which is the last one. He took a bit of a break, didn't he? There's like a big gap between 1998 and 2011.
Well, if this is another thing which they do explain a bit more in the second one than they do in the first, about how it can follow or it moves with the families to that house, and then it doesn't go anywhere after they've died, and then it banks on the next family moving in and finding the videos for them to watch
so if
the
you
video.
if you leave the videos alone, you can be all good.
Basically, every house that had a killing, the people that moved into the house next died, but it wasn't in the same house. It like followed on across the country, if that made sense. So
that's right, because they had the ghost kids manipulating the little boys to watch the movie, so they must be the ones who which isn't something you don't see in the first one, because obviously that is the big reveal at the end. With the fact that, spoilers, the kids are the one who's doing the actual killing.
Yeah,
not him.
I think that's what made the first film. That reveal wasn't expected to a degree. It was a harder thing to sort of, you sat back and you went, oh my God. I mean, firstly, that's your first thought. It wasn't like, how the fuck did that 5-year-old manage to get 4 people to hang from a tree by herself? That wasn't the logistics of it. Wasn't something that you sort of went into because you were so
magic.
Well, that's the thing. The movie was so good at keeping you in it. Yeah. The first one, I didn't go there. I was like, holy shit, that's the kid. And then it was like the second kid. And then, I never thought, when there was the scene where the Rottweiler was staring at Ethan Hawke in the garden and the ghost kids were behind, I don't think we'd seen those kids, the Super 8 versions, the extended cut, shall we say. We hadn't seen that at that point. So I just presumed they were like the victims in the movies. I didn't really pay attention.
He writes down on, when he's watching the first video, because he's writing notes, and he asks, where is such and such?
Yeah.
So he's already asking the question, but he's not really paying attention to what he's asking, or asking himself. But what I found really interesting, the movies themselves, when Ethan Hawke puts them on, that is his first reaction.
Yeah.
So it's one shot, because they didn't want him to know what the videos what they contained. They wanted an actual genuine reaction, and they got it.
Yeah,
and you can see it. Like, it makes the difference when you know that that's his genuine reaction, because he looks sickened.
Yeah, the one that he looks the worst at for me was the lawnmower one, where he rides over the faces of his family. The lawnmower.
I mean,
his face then, he genuinely looked like he was going to chunder, and I was like, oh, I'm with you. I mean, I don't get grossed out, and but I just thought that's savage. That was like, oh yeah, no. But I mean, for me, because the soundtrack matched the movie tension of the snuff movies so well, I don't think you realised, if I'm right, because you were so preoccupied with the shock factor, I suppose, of the little snuff movies. Baghuul was technically in every single one of them, but you never noticed him except for the pool.
Right.
The pool one. So in The Hanging, he's standing in the back in a bush. Like, if you go through,
right, okay,
he's there in some way, apparently. But the pool scene was the one that I found really interesting, because Nicholas King had to wear weights on his feet, and he was underwater in full makeup, full suit. So that shot you see where he looks up at the camera under the water isn't visual effects.
It's all practical effects.
He's gone full, we're talking full makeup, full clothes, under the water.
I'm going to apologise. I actually lost my Bluetooth for a second.
How dare you?
I know. Did you mention the incident with the stunt coordinator by any slim chance?
I did not.
So
I will leave that for you.
it's only because when I was telling Anthony, he was actually like outraged. So that the tree, like everything that's been done with the Super 8 movies, snuff movies, is practical effects.
Yeah.
Every single one of them, including the tree scene. And you're gonna have to keep making noise to make sure I can still hear you, by the way.
No, I'm yeah.
Just yeah.
Yeah, all good.
It shouldn't happen again. But yeah, so the stunt coordinator sets it all up because they're all initially on the floor and the branch lifts them up, which is like, I thought, really clever. But that's just me and my stupid brain. He botched it. And then poor people were hanging for a very long period of time.
Yep.
Yeah, he nearly killed them.
Mm-hmm.
He got sacked.
Yeah.
Very quickly after they got them down.
That would have been the appropriate response, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Ant was like, are you what? I was like, yeah. This is like Michael J. Fox, Back to the Future 3 hanging. Like, they were there for a long time.
They also did the scene practically where at the pool party they were all attached to the sunbeds and they were yanked into the pool.
Yeah.
One by one, and they had a team of divers in the swimming pool. So when they were yanking the stunt guys in one by one, they'd have an oxygen tank and they'd whack it on their face as soon as they got pulled into the water. So that again was a hell of a setup for that alone. I mean,
it's the going in the water with your head that way and then getting water up your nose.
No, don't like it.
It's the worst. So imagine the force of that being pulled in and then having that water up your nose. You can fuck that.
And then an oxygen tank on your face when you go.
Yeah. You're trying to get it out. Yeah. No, no. Interestingly, I've just clocked this on my piece of paper. Do you want to know the Rotten Tomato scores for them?
Go on then.
63% for the first one.
That's shocking. I would have thought it would have been higher.
I would have thought it would have been a bit higher.
Yeah.
Because I generally think this is it's a good story. It's got fleshed out characters. It's got your main character who is dead. I find him very interesting. He's looking for that glory again. He says it's not about the fame, it's about the fame.
Oh, of course it is.
He got so much attention from his hit book that's all he was bothered about.
You look how giddy he got when so and so come in. It was like, oh, I left my copy at the station. He's like, yeah, I've got one. He was and then he got really weird when he came in, and he was like, don't look at all this stuff. This is private. And it's like, well, you invited him in there, you silly fool.
You wanted him to be in there. And just for anyone who hasn't actually seen the movie, the character is called so-and-so.
Yeah.
It's Officer so-and-so.
Yeah.
In the first one, he's not. So it's towards the end, but in the second one, he's called Officer so-and-so.
It's stupid.
Which is played by one of my favourite actors. I absolutely love him. And his name has completely escaped my brain right now.
James Ransom.
That's it. Thank you. It's Eddie.
It's Eddie Spaghetti from the second new Pennywise movie. Movie that came out. Go back and check out our episode we did on it. Go on it. Go on.
I mean, stay here for this
not
one.
Now.
But when you finish, go and watch it.
Yeah.
He's also in Midnight Mass.
Oh, is he? I
yes.
haven't watched Midnight Mass yet because it takes a lot for me to watch slow burners. I have to be in a really good. I have to give it the time it deserves.
Yeah, you need to. It's time not on your phone. It's time to you. It's time for yourself, really. And I felt like that. I'm a huge Mike Flanagan fan. I think the man is a fucking genius.
He's intelligent. That's the thing about him.
Yeah.
Every choice he has is an intelligent choice. He's not just doing it for the sake of a scare or for the sake of a laugh. It is there because it's supposed to be there.
Yeah.
And that's what I like.
Yes. And Haunting on Hill House.
Yes.
I think I had a mini stroke there. Haunting on Hill House.
You smell toast.
I can lift my arms up, it's okay. Haunting of Hill House is a masterpiece. A masterpiece. And I hope we can find some element to put into Monsters for that.
I'm actually friends with Robert Kurzman. I could never say surname, so I do apologise. Sorry, Robert. He did all the makeup on Haunted of Hill House. He did the Broke Neck Lady. And he also he was one of the many Freddie makeup artists over the years. He's up there with V. Neil and Tom Savini for the characters he's done, but he's the lesser known guy. But Robert, yeah, the work he did on the Haunting of Hill House for the Broke Neck Lady was amazing, because when he was putting up little spoilers and teasers when it first came out, and like behind the scenes pictures of how he got there.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just so interesting to look and watch. And he was like explaining his processes and stuff. And it was just, I was really sort of,
yeah,
yeah. So.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I hope we can bring something to it, because I love that. I love a TV show. But I wasn't so thrilled about Blythe Manor. But
you put Elliot in anything and it's weird, because he's Elliot. And even though he's a 50-year-old man, he's still Elliot.
Yeah, he's a Mike Flanagan actor, because he's also in Dr. Sleep as well. He plays, spoilers, Jack Torrance. And he's brilliant. I think he was absolutely brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
But Blythe Manor is it's a slow burner, but it pays off.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, does it pay off? But yes, he's in Midnight Mass, and I have not gotten round to watching it, because that lovely website you advertised on your page the other day. Oh, hello. My cat's just walked in. About where you can go and find out.
Oh, yes.
That is my saving grace. And it told me about the cat scene, right. And I went, absolutely not. So I haven't gotten around to watching it. Hello, sweetheart. My cat's just woke up. I'm sorry. Right. She has literally been to sleep all day. So yes, James Ranscome's in that. I could not remember my point there.
But a lot of people forget that Ethan Hawke and James have also been in an additional film, also directed by Scott Derrickson. It's also a Blumhouse movie, which is The Black Phone.
Ranscome's in that?
Yes, he is, yeah.
Is he?
I don't think he's for very long, but he is in it. He's credited in it as well on IMDb. I've seen the film once.
I've seen it once, so technically I've not seen it.
So I
have, because it's amazing.
Yeah. I will say now, I am not a lover of Blumhouse. I am not someone who thinks we need to have a factory line approach to horror, which is what I feel like Blumhouse does. It's like bang, 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 bang. We'll just whop out as many as we can, and then what we'll do is, because we don't really have that many good ideas, we'll just reboot shit, and that's it. That's the general. This is my opinion. Obviously, if you differ, that's cool. But the way I see it is, there does seem to be this constant regurgitation or not well thought out movies that they just bang out to get in the box office. However, you do get your hidden gems, you get your Black Phones, you get your Sinister. Mm-hmm. And as you like on your birthday to watch one of the Blumhouses.
Yes, I do. Happy Death Day.
The concepts are there with Happy Death Day, with the first one. And did you see the guy who directed that I've just got the gig for Scream 7.
Fuck no, I have actually got some videos saved, because I saw it announced and I was like, oh, I'll watch them when I've got some time.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's today I think he got announced, but yeah, diverting slightly, Blumhouse does often miss the boat for me a lot, but like I say, then it does. Sinister for me was, I would say, and I don't use this lightly, it was a bit of a modern masterpiece. It was a an act. It was just, if you're someone who's interested in horror through the years, and you've watched as much as you can, and you understand the tropes, and you understand the director's use of cinematography, and you have you watch all that, you'll see the little tricks they use in Sinister that you don't see in other Blumhouse movies, like Sleepy Time. Now, the reason why they showed the movie in the reflection of his glasses instead of directly on the snuff film, like you would see all the others, was because they were trying to still get that PG-13.
Yes.
They were trying to go for a lower rating. So by cutting that scene and it not being as graphic as it being them having the throat slit, directly in your view, they were having it reflected in the glasses instead. But that's a massive, like, you look back at Argentino films, Dario Argento. So if you look at his films, he uses things like that. If you watch Sunglasses and stuff like that, it's quite a well-used thing, but it works for the purpose, and it didn't seem like it was just stuck in because they'd used it in a film years ago. It was used for a purpose, and yes, okay, it was to reduce the movie rating, but you did that's not where your brain went when you watched it. You were like,
didn't help, because this movie has no swearing, no blood, no sexual activity whatsoever, and they still didn't manage to get the rating they wanted.
Yep. It's crazy, isn't it? I mean, I think for me, it's the combination of never seeing a film quite like that before, and that's all horror people want.
It's something different. What horror wants is a story.
Yeah.
Because we can be so lost in the kills, the story is like, wah, wah. And this is such a solid story. And how they fucked it up in the second one, I will never know. I will never understand.
This is exactly it. And I feel like the reason why they fucked it up in the second one, well, there's two. They used the children as the main protagonists rather than the adult. And then they decided to use, instead of the way that they'd used the kids in the first one, the dead ghost kids, they were silent, and they were there to show that he was harvesting them, really, but that was it, until the end reveal. But in the second one, this is the bit I didn't get, because in the second one, they were making the twins watch the movies.
Yeah.
And they were talking, and they were like kind of bullying the kids into watching them. And it was like, but that wasn't how it worked in the first one. As far as I know, the little kid didn't watch any of the films.
No. And that's what we're led to believe. But if you remember, there is a scene where the monitor is on and nobody's there. But what does that eat? That's not going to make them twins do your bidding, because you've scared the shit out of them with these snuff movies. It's ridiculous. It was a ridiculous idea. Using the kids in it too much was a ridiculous idea.
It didn't take you. I mean, I didn't want a carbon copy of the first one. The first one did its job. It was good. It should have been left as a one part, no sequel.
One and done. Yeah.
Just give us that. On its own, great. Then the second one come out, and basically, from what I found out, they said that they loosely based Milo, the main kid, ghost kid, based on Stephen King's book Children of the Corn. They wanted a Caleb type character.
I get that. Yeah, I understand that.
Was it Caleb?
I think it's Caleb. I've never actually seen it. I think it's one of my father-in-law's favorite films. He loves stuff like that.
I read it years ago, and I've gone blank. And I think I've gone blank. I could be completely wrong that was his name, but I read it rather than watched it. And they loosely based that kid on him, and I can see the kid in my head. I know exactly what he looks like.
Oh,
So
yeah, I can see him in my third eye. He's right there.
They didn't really go too far from that, but it was just shit. The second one, and
there's no excuse for it.
There's easy ways for people to go, oh, that movie was well shit, and that's not what I'm trying to say. It had the makings, it had the first blueprint, it had so much it could have pulled from, yet it chose to. That all it seemed like they wanted to do was, like how Saw goes down that route of the bigger, badder kills.
Yeah.
The more that seemed to be what it was focusing on, rather than like.
I think that's a studio interference more than anything else, because you can't tell me that the co-writer of the first one co-wrote this one without studio interference. Now, I know the only studio interference on the first one is right at the end. The end credit scene, is the end jump scare. That's the only time Blumhouse stuck their nose in and went jump scare in there. Jason
Blum can be a bit of a prick.
I have heard Jason, that.
But yeah, you are. Because that was not needed.
No.
You should have just left the first one. Baghuul walking away, carrying the kid off into the distance. Like he does that, like, what's the... I saw a video that basically said, oh, he did an aha take on me moment. He went from reality and jumped into the telly. And I was just like, I hadn't really thought about it, but yeah, it was a bit ridiculous, but it worked. Does.
But isn't that his thing as well? He transfers himself through art.
Yes, that's the thing I saw. It's his way of opening portals.
Yeah, and that's the symbol, where the symbol comes, because he has a symbol, everyone, and that's where the symbol comes from. It's to do with the art.
It's a bit weird. It's slightly like the Mandalorian symbol, but with a bit more...
Isn't it? With a bit more blood. With a bit more blood in there. Yeah,
because
I like the idea that I like the idea that he transferred through media, like media, technically media, like art, televisions, computers. I like that aspect.
I mean, they said that the Christians, when he was out hundreds of years ago, basically they had them take down all the pictures of him and his brother, because they were worshipped at one point, obviously, like we said at the beginning. And the Christians had them remove them all because they genuinely believed the children were getting hypnotized through looking at pictures that were on the wall of Baghuul himself. And that was then enticing the children into doing and committing the acts that they were doing.
Well, as somebody who has been said to, I am the type of person that my friends don't like, right? Basically, what I'm trying to say is my friends don't like the idea of me talking to people in cults. And I'm not referring to the Nerdy Up North one. I'm referring to actual genuine ones, because they are actually worried for me that I would join one. I am so susceptible to people that I believe they're horseshit, and I could be drawn into it. So I know if I'm back in them days, I am worshipping that fucking painting.
I'm just going to ask you one question.
Go on then.
Tom Cruise isn't Jesus, is he?
Can't even think of the answer.
If you were going to say yes, you're a seismologist and you need to leave the room now. Honestly, I'm not doing no.
I was gonna go down the Xeno. Is it Xeno?
I'm not going to. You're a lizard person, and this is the world we're living in. And
honestly, they are so worried because I am like, I can't walk past a charity without signing up for it, because that's the type of person I am. So they worry for myself that if a genuine cult came knocking on my door, I'm off there with a fucking tambourine. Like, it's happening. I am midsummer in this shit.
So if you don't answer my messages, you've joined the cult. Good to know.
Exactly.
I was looking
I'm worshipping him, by the way. That's what a point I was making.
Well, that's fair enough. I mean, yeah.
I mean, I like to admit some crazy shit about myself on this podcast, so why not tell you that one too?
to be fair, I wouldn't have been a Christian. I would have been a pagan anyway. So I probably would have been somewhere in that wheelhouse. So I can't really say too much.
With a tambourine.
I'm just too cynical to join cults these days. I'm just like, don't tell me what to do.
And there's me going, and now?
And now there's lizard people. And now you have to redo everything you've just learned. And we're going to expect you to pay for your... No, I'm not going into that because they'll get us banned from YouTube.
And what's that drink in the corner?
Kool-Aid. Don't drink it.
Anyways, Baghuul.
Now, can I just... This is something about the Kool-Aid, right? How the hell were the kids spiking the parents with night nurse or ecto cooler or whatever that green light stuff was that was in the drinks? Where did they get it from? What was it?
No, I am guessing it's ecto cooler because was that the 80s one? Yeah. So think of the times.
I saw it.
It looked like something out of Futurama.
It didn't look right. Yeah.
No.
It was mixed in his coffee, I think. Because she kept bringing him coffee, didn't she? The kid, you saw the kid bringing him coffee and giving it to him. But in that very last one, when he looks into it, it's like luminous. And I'm like, that thing lights up the entire inside of the cup. How did you not notice you were drinking it?
I think it's like, are they trying to make the point that the parents weren't paying attention? Like,
yes.
Is that the message they're trying to give out? Do you want to know the kill count? Do you already know the kill count? Oh, I have right. Them. So maybe you might be able to explain it to us because I just wrote down the total.
Yeah.
I didn't get the rest of them. So I got the total as 54.
All right. See, I've got different. But then I just watched one of those, the guy that does, some guys might know it, the channel's called Dead Meat, and they're on YouTube. And they literally, all they do is kill counts.
Oh, no, I did not know these. Oh, okay, at least I know where to go to now.
But it runs you through every murder in the movie, from 1 to however many. And then he shows you the average. So in the first one, I've got 20 kills in the first movie, which averages out at 1 every 5.5 minutes. But not one, again, is done by Baghuul.
No. He is a fucking cult. He's a Charlie Manson fucking wannabe.
We have him at our lowest kill count over all of our podcasts. He ties with the bride at 0.
Wow.
0 kills. Because the kids are already dead when he takes their souls. So...
But who killed them?
But that's the thing. They never show it. So I really don't know...
Because they're not part of that scene. They killed their family. Who the fuck killed their...
But in saying that, technically, maybe he killed one at the end of the second movie. He turns one of the twins into dust. But then, when he doesn't quite... Well, no, you didn't see this bit, did you? Basically, one of the twins... one of the twins... There's a swapsy that goes on halfway through. The main kid decides it doesn't want anything to do with it. And the brother gets angry and beats him up and says, I can see him too. I'll do it. And I'll
know which twin it is because he's the little shit who kept punching the soft one. Like, not soft, but he was very kind-natured.
Yeah, that one. So he ends up making the video.
He deserved it.
And I've just remembered at the end, Baghuul puts his hand on his shoulder because he fails. The kid fails making the snuff movie. James Ransom knocks the 16 mil out of his hand and it smashes into pieces on the floor. So he fails. So you see Baghuul putting his hand on his shoulder and then him just sort of disintegrating into dust. So technically, yeah, that would be 1 that you actually see. So I'll take that back. It's not a 0, it's a 1.
Well, Charles Manson killed 1, so he is like on the...
Yeah, going for the same unwashed hair look as well.
It's cult. Like he got everyone else to do everything for him.
But yeah, it's over 110 minutes, I think that first film runs for. So Average of 5.5 kills. In the first one, he doesn't kill a single person that you physically see him kill in those 20 kills.
Wow.
So they were all the children.
But who's killing the children? I don't get. I can't believe that's a question. This movie does open up more questions when you actually talk about it. When you're watching it and you're in it, you are fucking in it.
Yeah.
But when you then sit back and go, who the fuck killed them kids? If he didn't kill them, who the fuck killed them kids?
Exactly, because you don't see it happen. You don't know. No. You just see them constantly running away from him when when he appears.
Obviously, I'll be sitting in the chat on Monday. So if you guys know, you tell us, because I need to know who killed them kids.
I think it would technically be him.
It has to be.
You don't see it happen, therefore it doesn't happen. It doesn't count as a part of the kill count, apparently.
Wow. Just because has it something to do with their souls?
He is the eater of children and he eats their souls. So what he does is he takes them into the netherworld. So technically, from what I can gather, he's just putting them in a different dimension or the netherworld or wherever you want to call it. Right. So they're not technically dead.
We're not looking at a normal kill here. We're looking at something. Oh my God. We're looking at something biblical, something different, something supernatural, paranormal. Yeah, supernatural. That's the thing I'm looking for, and that makes sense.
In the second movie, they do one more kill. I've got 21 kills for the second movie.
So, what was the total?
That's 41 in total.
Still doesn't beat Claude Rains.
No, nothing does. That man was savage. He's at the top of the list, and it's going to take a hell of a lot to knock him off.
Yeah, I also heard a rumor that Boris Karloff was asked to play Baghuul, given the size and everything, and he just said, "No, I'm sorry, I'm dead." Yeah,
well, it's a fair enough excuse to be.
Exactly,
I use that one quite a lot when people ask me to do things. I say, "Sorry, I'm dead."
I've been dead a long time. I don't know where I come up with that.
But the 21 kills is based over 97 minutes. So it's 13 minutes shorter, the second film, than the first film. But because it has that one extra kill, it averages a kill every 4.33 minutes. Which is quite a lot. But obviously it's not worked out that way because they kill, in every snuff movie, they kill 5 or 6 people. So you get that.
I was going to watch I was watching some YouTube videos and it was going over the same thing.
Yeah.
He is an ancient Babylonian pagan deity. Vincent D'Onofrio only really tells you the stuff that you need to know about him.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one video on there that said, "How does Baghuul eat children?" And I didn't watch it. And I feel that would have explained the kids and their death.
I think I did too, the same thing. Skip past that one. I vaguely remember seeing it.
It's when I type in Baghuul documentary, and that was the first thing one of the first ones that came up, and I don't know why, but the title of it kind of put us off. But
can't imagine it gets many views for that title.
No, but they should rename it, because if it's going to explain how the children are no longer, on this earth anymore, that would have been excellent to know. I didn't actually say that Sinister 2 scored a grand total of 14% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's accurate.
Yeah, I think that's generous. I think that's so generous.
And the thing I don't get, right, is the first movie, it probably was when Blumhouse was in its infancy. So it was 2011. So really, Blumhouse hadn't done a great deal. I'm not big on when they started out, but we're talking, it's in the early days of Blumhouse. They were only given $3 million as a budget for the first movie, and I'm guessing a third of that went to Ethan Hawke.
Hey, he was worth every fucking penny.
Yeah, I'm not complaining. I think a third of that was definitely down on wages for the actors and stuff, because really the only thing that I could see being exceptionally expensive would be the stunts.
The stunts, yeah, I think a majority would have gone into that, because if you really look at it, you're only looking at one location.
Mm-hmm.
Vincent D'Onofrio is done on a video camera.
And he's uncredited as well. He's not credited as a role.
I did not know that.
Yeah. But they actually made from that film for the gross box office, which, because I love my numbers, 87.7 million they made.
Wow.
So 84.7 million profit they made on that movie from the budget for making it.
What the fuck?
That's a hell of a return.
That's a massive return. And do you know what? Fucking deserves every penny. Honestly, for such a modern film, I remember when me and Ant first watched this, and the minute we finished it, we were like, oh, I feel like I've just watched a fucking horror film. Like I feel like I've watched like a genuine horror film. Like and it was different.
That's what we're missing as horror fans, as people that are constantly chasing that. I don't even know if it's the scare or the fear or the whatever it is, that thing you get from watching a horror movie. I would say Sinister is probably one of the very few movies, whilst it didn't scare me, it still left an impression. Like I never got pulled out of the movie watching it. I was in it from beginning to end. The music creeped me out. It just, the whole thing was so well done. So with the success of the first one, they gave the second one $9 million budget. Now, I'm not sure where they spent that budget, mind, but they gave it a $9 million budget. Now, there is a kill that they do, which there was a bit of hoo-ha about, because this movie came out in 2015. And it was called the Pentagram kill at the end, where they get the rats in the hot bucket on the stomach.
All right.
And they get basically rats crawl in the body and crawl out. Now, they ripped it off of an episode of Game of Thrones in season 2 called The Garden of Bones.
Okay, so here we go.
You'll know about this. Go on.
Here we go.
I thought this would be one you'd like.
It's in Harrenhal. It's a torture method that they use on the captures at Harrenhal. Arya is just about to have said procedure done because they're trying to get information out of them, and they put the bucket on the stomach and the rat in the bucket, and they heat the bucket up at the end.
Yes.
That's fucking horrific.
Yeah, so there was this hoo-ha because they said it was very, very close to when that episode came out. It was about a year or so before they filmed it, and they were like, it's not, where did you get this idea from? It's not been shown in anything recently, you know. So there was a bit of a plagiarism row to a degree that went on when that
it's a medieval torture thing. Like that surely that would have been used in some other. You can't put a claim on that.
But I think it was more so the fact. I think it was more so the fact it was coincidental that it had been used so soon after it was used in Game of Thrones, and it proved quite a controversial scene to a degree in that. But yeah, they only made 54 million.
Oh, only.
Well,
only.
Well, that's only a return of 45. So if you look at the difference between the return on 85 million to 45, you've lost $40 million in one movie.
But that is only because of the strength of the first one. That you are only watching the second one because of how fucking good the first one is. You are not watching it for any other reason. And you stick to the end because you've thought, well, if you unless you're like me, who watches halfway 5 times and then thinks, right, I've had enough. I can't do this again. And turn it off. I couldn't do it. It's the main actress in it. We were saying before we came on camera, I can't stand that. She's got one of those faces I just want to punch. And her southern accent was doing my tits in.
Rutabaga, what? Get out. Yeah, just go.
Oh, go on.
One of the kids' real names in real life, because they're real brothers, was D'Artagnan in real life.
Shut up.
His real name is D'Artagnan. I think it's the weaker brother, if we're going to go there and call him that. The the nicer
The
kid.
softer-natured one.
Yeah. D'Artagnan is his real name.
That is fucking class. What's his brother called? Steve.
Yeah, I think it is. It's something really boring, like John or Paul, or not that they're boring. That's not what I mean. I mean, compared to D'Artagnan.
Oh my God, yeah, he's going to be something like Steve.
Honestly, John and Paul, I know many of you, your name aren't boring, but in comparison to D'Artagnan, you go to the effort of giving one kid that name and then you give the other kid Steve. You've got to match that.
You've got to match that energy. That name is fucking class.
But yeah, when I saw that, I was like, did I read that right? Rewind. What did that say? Oh my God, that really is his name. So
I love it. I love it. Do you know what? For a movie that had a lot of children in it, they didn't annoy us.
Second one annoyed the shit out of me.
Did it?
The kids, they talk too much. It's like
there's a lot of dialogue.
I don't want to see you talk. The whole purpose of Baghuul is
mystery.
Why would he go to the lengths of getting 5 kids to get one kid to film another film so he can just eat one kid? I know that's his pattern, but it just getting the way that they use the kids to get that kid involved, I thought was just really bizarre choice. Just a bizarre choice.
You've got to think, why has this movie got me thinking? I've seen Sinister so many times. It is a movie that I go back to. And I'm not going to lie, it's not because of Baghuul, even though he is that monster this week. It is Ethan Hawke. Like, I absolutely adore that man. I think he is just making the best choices. Black Phone was fucking phenomenal.
Was it Daybreakers? What was that vampire film he was in?
Oh, fuck yes, with Danny Houston.
Yeah, I think so.
Where they're in Alaska.
No, Daybreakers was the vampire film where it was common to be vampires.
Oh, was that Christian Slater?
It might have been with him, yeah. Basically people who weren't vampires were the outcasts, and they were all living in these big houses, and I can't remember if something like that, but I remember specifically Ethan Hawke being in that. But then Ethan Hawke again was in The Purge. The Purge is a Blumhouse movie, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
and The Purge won. I like it.
Don't get us wrong. Was in the first one, yeah.
I've not seen the many sequels that follow afterwards, and TV shows, video games, whatever else came out of that franchise. I just watched the one. I've lost my train of thought. Black Phone. I was just going to say Black Phone. Such a good fucking choice for him. Like, such a good choice. And it was the one film where I have allowed myself to buy the book with him on the front. Normally, I don't do books with the movie like reference on it. I try to stay away from it as much as I can. But I thought, no, I want him on the front cover. I'm happy for that because he's mint, and he is so good in Sinister. He plays that writer. It's the writer. It's not the true crime part, but it's the writer in him, and he plays that so well. That fame hungry, because writers must get a thrill, like a different high than what you get when a movie does well or a TV show does well, because you can get a hint of that before it happens. You can have previews, you have trailers, you get an idea of it. But for a writer, that must be such a different high when you can give your synopsis out, but when people are really, really going to enjoy it, that's the high. I liked it. Did
you know that the box of videotapes and the cine camera actually appears in Insidious 3? It's a little Easter egg Blumhouse stuck in there.
Why do I feel like I did read that?
It's in the netherworld, apparently. You know, when he flips over into the other side.
Disclaimer, I have only ever seen the first one.
but it's in the third one. However, they also went through a phase of toying with crossing Sinister with Insidious, and they were going to call it.
Go on.
I've written it down. Hang on, in Sinister.
Fuck yeah, that is metal as fuck.
They shelved it because Sinister 2 flopped. But
There's
they
a
were
reason
gonna,
for that, though.
They were going to do a crossover at Blumhouse. So I would be intrigued. I haven't seen Red Door or whatever this one's called, the new one.
No, I'm sitting there saying, oh, I can't wait for the new Insidious movie. It's like, Sam, you need to go and watch 2 to whatever to get to that point. You can't just rely on the first one.
I think the reason why I love the idea of this new one is purely because the music that was released for the end credits, which is Patrick Wilson and Ghost singing "Stay" by Shakespeare's Sister.
I heard that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
People
not a
forget he
Ghost
can
fan.
sing.
I'm not
I
a Ghost
love them.
fan. Peaches absolutely adores them. And I'm not getting there yet.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I genuinely wasn't a big fan, and then last year I went to see him live in Birmingham, and it completely changed my mind. They are Tobias Forge. What he can do!
Oh, what a name!
I know, this is amazing, isn't it? It's one man's vision, and he basically orchestrates the whole thing. He plays as many instruments on the recordings, so what you hear is one man that has a guesting guitarist or something like that on the track that plays the parts he can't play, but he is Ghost, one man.
It's just one man. I thought it was like a whole...
Well, this is what he does when he goes on tour. He gets a bunch of musicians called the Nameless Schools, and they all wear masks, so you don't know who they are, and they've rumoured to have had Dave Grohl play for them, as one of the guitarists. Literally a laundry list of like huge musicians have rumoured to have played with Ghost as a Nameless School with the mask on.
That is fucking incredible.
But they're a piss take.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Tobias Forge is basically he's a Satanist. He's like your Anton LaVey jobby, but he takes the piss out of the church. The whole thing is a piss take out of organised religion. Their music isn't anything like you think it's going to be. When you take one look at Ghost, you're like, oh, it's going to be all death metal. And
I thought synthy gothy. I'm think my head goes straight to early 2000s. I'm at Whitby Goth Festival and I'm listening to some synth goth shit.
No, it is basically like the latest album, Imperia, has like Iron Maiden in it has Iron Maiden vibes. It's got like Boston vibes in Spillways. You can hear so many like 70s 80s rock band influences.
I had no idea.
Honestly, go and listen. They do covers quite a lot. But they recently just released out an album of covers, and they've covered We Don't Need Another Hero by Tina Turner, Phantom of the Opera by Iron Maiden's on there. And
what would be a good starting point? Do you think Messages of the Clergy?
I wouldn't go chronologically. I really like Spillways is one of my favourites, and I don't know why. It's just one of those real like catchy in your ear songs. But Rob and me, we've actually got a song that Ghost do that we're probably going to have played at our wedding, which is called Darkness at the Heart of My Love. And it's like
that is goth as fuck. That
it is, but it's a love song. But all of their songs are just so Ghost also had the outro track on Halloween Kills, I want to say it was, or was it Halloween?
The
middle one, whatever the middle one was for the new 3.
Kills,
I think it was. Yeah, Hunter's Moon is called. That's a pretty good one. They also Dance Macabre is a really upbeat. Peaches
always talks about them, but she never sells it. Yeah. She always just say, "I've been to see Ghost. It was fucking incredible."
Yeah,
and that's all I get. She never sells it to us.
It's just one guy constantly reinventing a new pope. Like he'll kill off the character, and then comes out as a new pope.
Right.
And then kills off that, and then kills up. Like he's on a cardinal now.
Honestly, I had to get my own Spotify because I used to share ants.
Yeah.
And you know when it does the end of year thing,
Right.
and it's like, you've been listening to this, this, and this. Anthony last year got, you've been listening to Ice Nine Kills for 365 days of the year. Your top album is Ice Nine Kills and the silver screen. Your top song is Ice Nine Kills. He was fucking raging. So he made me get my own Spotify so we can have less of that.
Ice Nine Kills. Yeah.
I listen to non-stop Ice Nine Kills. It is ridiculous. The amount of times I have listened to one album is stupid. And the fact that Spotify had literally said, for 365 days, you have listened to Ice Nine Kills.
Amazing.
So yeah, I think I might take a break
and
change it up a bit.
Well, you know Justin Hawkins from The Darkness.
The Darkness.
He has his own YouTube channel called Justin Hawkins Rides Again, and he hailed "Call Me Little Sunshine," which is one of Ghost's songs, one of the best written guitar parts that he'd ever heard, because he said he was the same as you. He said you take one look at them and you think it's going to be a certain way, and then when they start playing, you're like,
holy shit. Well, see, I should have known that from the cover song from the Insidious movie, because that was not what I was expecting at all.
Yeah.
I'm going to give them a try.
We knew that Patrick Wilson could sing because obviously we covered that in the Phantom of the Opera episode. Go back and watch that. Where again,
after you finish watching this one,
yes,
go back and watch. Yeah,
go back.
Please stick around for this one. That'd be nice.
Yeah, it's because Baghuul's going to sing Bohemian Rhapsody to you at the end of the movie.
At the end of this podcast, Baghuul's going to come out of the screen singing Bohemian Rhapsody. I really wanted to do this monster. I didn't realize at the time that there's not a lot of information out for him.
Yeah.
But I like the idea that we've included him in our pantheon of monsters, because I generally feel like he needs to be more of that iconic horror character.
I genuinely think that if they could do, I don't want to call it a third movie, maybe an adjacent film, maybe not even Sinister as it's supposed to be, like Sinister on its own.
The early days.
This movie could be called Baghuul. I don't know. They could do another one, but they could utilize his backstory. They could bring more lore into it, because it's there. There is the backstory with Moloch. They could do something with all that.
They can take it so fucking supernatural.
It would be a totally different film to the first, but it would get you to a point where you could appreciate how he became who he was, to get to the point, I feel like they wanted to sit on that anonymity with him so much that they didn't want to use him so much, which they did well in the first one. They only used him when they needed to. Second one, boom, 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 but he was there.
There. You, any jump scare you get is going to be through him. But the first one is a mystery. I mean, I shit my pants, and I don't know how many times I've seen it when you first see him in the pool, when you realise he's there.
I loved the bits where the laptop was open and Ethan Hawke was turning around and he was moving, because you knew it was going to happen, but still when it happened, you're like, oh. Yeah, I mean, it's like, again, it's a trope that happens in the movies. You come to expect it, but you think to yourself, it's not going to happen. And then when it happens, you're like, oh no, didn't like that.
Yeah,
and it works, and that's therein why I don't think I've covered why I think he's a good monster or a bad monster. I think had they have given us more of him, more of his backstory, more of his lore, or a movie just dedicated to that, then I would be able to make a definitive answer. 100% yes or 100% no. But as it stands, not in the movies, but yes in the lore.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I always put him in the category with Art from Terrorizer. I always thought Art was such an amazingly looking iconic. When you're thinking of icon characters, I put Art up there, and I put Baghuul up there too. And unfortunately, Art has managed to have a successful, whether you like it or not, it's still been a successful second movie. Baghuul never got that.
No, I will say, I'm going to say something incredibly controversial now that people will not like, but I hated the Terrifier movies. I'm not saying I didn't like Art the Clown. I just didn't like the way that Damien Leone shot the movies to make them look like they were really low budget, and they were based in the 80s, and they were like those terrible worn out cassettes you used to watch. I hated it.
But it didn't look like that.
But the
what
actresses couldn't fucking act.
Oh, they were fucking terrible. No,
and it was
I don't like the Terrifier movies either. I really, really don't.
I think he did so well with the concept, and David Howard Thornton as Art.
I think he is perfect. He is a great horror character.
And the bits
aesthetically
in Terrifier 2 where he does the kill with the bleach and the graters and the whole thing on the bedroom, whoa. That is beyond anything. That is really visceral and really, really like, holy shit, he went there. And then he'd do some more, and he'd even do some more and some more again, and you'd be like, and I stuck with it because I wanted to see how fucked up he could get. It wasn't anything to do with the girls, or the actors or the kids. I couldn't give a flying fucker whether they survived or not. I don't care. It was him.
Shit.
No, I was just wanted to see how.
Yeah, I just always put them two in the same category. Just characters that didn't really get a chance. Like they were good, but they didn't get a chance, kind of thing. And unfortunately, I don't see us ever getting Baghuul Johnson back again.
Well, Terrifier's been greenlit for 3 now, so
yeah.
So yeah, after the writer's strike, I think there'll probably be.
I hope Blumhouse pulls them back out and does something really special with them. But if they do, fine well what's going to happen. It's going to be another. It's that look of Blumhouse. I don't get us wrong, and sometimes I really like it, and sometimes I don't. They all have a look.
100%. It's a Blumhouse.
Yeah, but sometimes it works for me. The Insidious movies, love them. Happy Death Day.
First Insidious, yes. Now the kid's 22.
Is
the
it?
kid that plays Dylan is 22, and he is the adult in this new Insidious movie. That kid that was in the coma is now a grown-ass fucking man.
God,
I got these movies have been going on for.
He can legally drink in America.
Exactly.
He's definitely grown up. Yeah,
crazy.
I need to go. I do love the first one, but again, it's got Blumhouse blueprint written, like it's ingrained in it. Happy Death Day is too, but I still love it. Have we got any more to cover on Baghuul Johnson?
Sadly, not. The origins of his surname are very interesting. Until today, I wasn't aware that was his surname, but
I am not joking, people. If you want to just type in Baghuul, you will get. There is so much like horror Wikipedia stuff on him, but it's the same shit. It's the same thing over and over again. They really do like to spread out ancient Babylonian pagan deity. They like to spread that out. But in one of them, it has Baghuul in brackets Johnson.
I'm not making Wikipedia for people to change it. I want to go on there and change it to Smith, or it's just something really ridiculous, like insert haberdashery being his surname or something. Just change it to something really stupid.
I like that.
That's so ridiculous.
It is.
Johnson isn't a ridiculous surname in any context whatsoever.
Absolutely not. But if you're talking about pagan deities, I'm not expecting Johnson to be written after it. I'm not.
I mean, you look, Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger,
Michael Myers.
They've got like the very names.
Baghuul
Johnson. He sounds like he works down the fish and chip shop. It's just
it's I'm laughing so hard because it makes no goddamn fucking sense. It really doesn't. I tried my fucking hardest with this episode, and they go and give me Baghuul Johnson. Like, you can't write this shit.
They have, and they did, and
And
this
they
is
did.
where we are.
Yeah. And this is where we are going to end this week's
Yes.
episode. I realised halfway through this that
I know what you're going to
we
say.
have not decided next week's episode.
We meant to, and we got sidetracked. Yeah.
Oh, just talking shite as usual beforehand. Totally
It's the
forgot.
Johnson.
So it is. It's the Johnson. I will announce on Monday in the live chat as you are watching this.
Yes.
As I will down there. That's down there.
It flips. Does he flip me? Yeah, I think it's down that side now.
Well, where am I?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. I will announce it on Monday. I will announce it as you are watching this right now in the chat what next week's episode is going to be. And I promise you, people, it's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one. Thank you very much for joining us today. And thank you for joining us every Monday at 7:00 on YouTube. What was I going to say? It was something along the lines of, oh, yes. You can find this on YouTube, but you can also find us on our own little sub-bit. It's not subcategory, because if you search Nerdy Up North into Spotify and iTunes, no, if you type in Monsters Up North, fuck me, I am tired. If you type up Monsters Up North in iTunes and Spotify, you will find us, and you will find our latest episodes. Hi there, we're there. Hi. So yes, you will find us, and you'll find all our back catalogue, and you can listen to some greats like Phantom of the Opera, Pennywise, Jigsaw,
Baghuul
Baghuul Johnson.
If the artwork for this hasn't got Johnson in brackets right now on it, I'm going to be so disappointed.
Johnson. So yes, thank you for watching. Thank you for sticking with us. With this episode, we tried our best. I feel like I had a good time. I like talking about the Sinister movies. Not the second one, first one, not the second one.
Get in the bin.
Get in the sea.
Get in the sea.
So yes, thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Oh no, thank you. Thank you, and thank you. And remember, like, share, and subscribe. All the good stuff.
All the good stuff.
All the good stuff. So. Until next week, stay nerdy, everyone. Bye-bye.